I wonder just how deep this creek is. Well, that's what's coming up next on El Cara Ham Radio.
That didn't look too bad, Chris. This is probably easy for what you've been doing lately.
That's good. Yeah, we're still up on this ridge and still copying you loud and clear. That's good.
Yeah, full scale down here from you.
Awesome. I am on high power, but still, that's good stuff.
Well, folks, here we are back in McCurry County, checking out zone number 2. We had already tested zones 1 and 3, and this is the track that has this, medium-sized creek crossing in it. Not really that deep, but always good to check things out before you go through them. Obviously, what I'm doing here, and then we're about to go ahead and continue on.
We're not at the finish yet, so we're just now crossing the water.
That's fine. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Dawn.
Oh, let's see for this truck. So the one you crossed the other day was deeper than that?
Oh, we had half a dozen. Like I said, they were probably at least 18 inches.
Right. KY4 BDP, we have crossed the creek. We have crossed the creek.
Yes, folks, it's really amazing that the drivers in the rally go through that creek. It can be lower at times and even noticeably higher at times. All depends on how recent the rain was. And you've seen a few other these water crossings, little creek crossings. They have to go through all these bumpy roads. This is not the roughest of roads. It is gravel, but it gets pretty rough. And of course, they're racing, so they are making the best time that they can. So it's pretty amazing to get out here. It's beautiful country, and especially now while it's still wintertime and the leaves are all down, you can really see so much better. By the time the race occurs in late April, the leaves are pretty much going to be back out fully on the trees, and so you get a real kind of a tunnel effect driving on these roads because all the leaves come in, and you can't really see the hillsides and stuff very well then. It's still beautiful, but you just don't have the visibility. So yeah, it's a really interesting, the world of rally, and I was aware of it just from seeing headlines and things most of my life, over in Europe and different places. Of course, the Dakar Rally is a famous one. So it's been really interesting to help out with this in our local area. This is not far from where I live, and having gotten into ham radio and helping out with this. But you can see the terrain here, and you can see why the race needs amateur radio, because there is rarely cell phone coverage in these areas. Sometimes you'll barely have one bar. Texting is not consistent. Calling is not consistent. So that's why they have to have radio. And even with that, this is why we're doing this testing. And that's why we have done these crossband repeater kits, because there's no single repeater, there's no single tower where you can reach it from all of these valleys that they race in. There's 3 areas in this county, and they're fairly diverse and separated. So we have to set up mobile equipment at each location. And with the mountains and everything, we have to use 2 crossband repeaters, in each zone, if you will. And we've got people at the starts of the races, people at the end of the races, to provide as much coverage as we can. And then we have to get all this traffic, the primary traffic, back to sort of race headquarters, where our emergency communications trailer is going to be, because they have to track the race conditions. If they need to bring in the wrecker, or if they need to bring in, EMTs or anything, We have all emergency services standing by in case we need it. Fortunately, the drivers are pretty well protected. They're in fire suits and wear helmets and have multi-point harnesses and roll cages in the vehicles typically and things. And the vehicles are typically all-wheel drive sedans of some type. So they don't use street tires. Of course, they have specialized tires they use for racing on these rough roads and stuff. They of course have more aggressive tread, give them better traction and things. So yeah, it's really interesting to see this because this is really fun racing, but it's not the most expensive style of racing. Some major F1 race companies and whether it's the Daytona 500 or some of the other kinds of racing, to have a team or to compete just takes a lot of money. Now, I would never call any form of racing cheap, but in the world of racing, rally is not necessarily the most expensive. Depends on how competitive you want to be worldwide, maybe. But a lot of the competitors, it's not as bad as again some other forms of racing. But yeah, we wanted to show some of this footage from where we were out testing. It was a beautiful day. We have been extremely lucky so far. The 2 days that we've gone out to do testing this year, both days have been pretty much perfect. Sunny, not much wind, nice and warm. 55, 60 degrees, which is not bad temperatures to be out. So you never know what race day is going to look like because they're going to race rain or shine. But as far as being out and testing things, it certainly made our testing procedure a whole lot more enjoyable. But I wanted to show some of this footage because, again, although these are not the roughest roads, and my wife and I do some actual off-roading and trail riding and stuff, and that can get pretty rough. But again, thinking about regular quote-unquote sedans, they do beef up the suspension and various things, but still, it's pretty amazing to think about them driving on these back roads at pretty high speeds. My truck can go a lot of places, but I'm not usually going very fast. So yeah, the fact they can do it at pretty significant speeds and have a good time. So, but you can see the terrain. It's just everything's in these little valleys and hills, and there's these mountains everywhere. And so again, communication is it's extremely challenging. Again, that's why every single zone we use 2 crossband repeaters. There's not any one zone that's simple enough where a single crossband could cover the whole thing, right? So, and we're fortunate this year we've changed locations for where the emergency communications trailer, our home base, is going to be. But one of our members also came upon a used lightweight aluminum tower that has a tilt-up base on it, and we're going to be able to use that there. It's very quick and easy to put up. It's not a permanent installation, and so we can use that, and that's going to get us up to probably around 40 feet back at the race headquarters. And then we've got some drive-on masts that get us up. We can easily get up 12, 18 feet in the field. And we're using Diamond GP3 antennas at each location. Or if we felt like we needed to, we could put a Yagi at 1 or 2 spots if we felt we needed even more gain. But the GB3s are pretty good. So it works out pretty well. So as always, we're excited for the race this year coming up. We've still got a little bit more testing and things to do, but for the most part, we're getting in pretty good shape. Things have really come along. It's kind of like when you watch stories about Christmas and Santa Claus, and as soon as Christmas is over, what do they say the next day at the North Pole? Well, 364 days to get ready for next year. and that's kind of how we are. As soon as the race is over, we can have sort of some downtime in a way and work on other projects and things. But especially this year, since we were changing out really the equipment and how we were doing things, we had to get started on this stuff as soon as possible. So we've been working on these crossband repeater kits, as you've seen in the videos, for a long time. But now we're going to have these assets, and we can use them. There's any number of events that we work during the year, and we can have these. In fact, they used one of them at a recent race in town for a charity event. So just a little view into the countryside in here, and some of the things we're doing. Got to see that that little creek crossing there, and that's going to begin to wrap this one up, folks. So this is Chris, KY4CKP, for Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. 73.